welcome to this edition of the GASOCAST. I am your host, Ryan Massett. I'm joined by Michael Timmons, Blueser Tucci. We just had an awesome opening tournament weekend of the high school basketball season. We saw 67 teams as a group. And before we get into those players and teams, I want to make sure that you know about our app. It's called the Texas High School Scoreboard app. It's officially gone live, and we will be keeping up with all the scores of the 5A and 6A teams during the district season. We're going to have accurate district scores, up-to-date times and locations, playoff brackets. You can put in team notifications. It's going to have all the goods. We got all the schedules from the high school coaches. So make sure and get that before district season starts. So like I said, 67 teams for the GASO team this weekend. Let's kick it off by asking, where did you go? Blue, where'd you go?
I started off in San Antonio at the Alamo City Hoops Classic, and then the following day, which was Saturday, moved on to Houston, to RCS Sports season opener, and could not have been more pleased with the travel and what I saw.
Mike?
For me, I stayed locally. Well, not locally. It was about a 55-minute drive from where I live. But the Cowtown tip-off at North Crawley, Friday and Saturday, a lot of good basketball. You can tell these teams were just excited to compete.
And Sam Lowe was as well. Sam was
also there. And I also sent Ron Friday night to the Colony in Frisco Wakeland.
And Sam also jumped over to Duncanville
for the Phil McNeely Classic.
Classic. And then I went on Friday, and saw Harker Heights Weiss on my way down to the CTX Showcase at Concordia. Saw 8 good games on Saturday. It was a really, really fun weekend of basketball, and we'll tell you where we're going after we get into these players. So, notable teams. Blue, kick us off.
Well, have to start with the Atascocita over at RCS season opener. You know, they just work so hard. They're relentless on defense. Their guard play, they're going to have to hit threes, but they were hitting threes and making Houston Christian, their opponent, turn the ball over, and they were getting easy layups. I mean, you can look at Dave Martinez, look at Angel Johnson on that team, the guard play, and then Landon Jumawan was just really good at just knocking down shots and making the right plays. And he had double figures coming off the bench for Atascocita.
And it speaks a lot that you were talking about their pressure when Houston Christian has 3 really good guards who can handle the ball and can do all the things. But Atascocita, so good, so disciplined.
Yeah, David Martinez is going to get those guys going, and we'll see them again this weekend. Somebody new will from our staff at the McDonald's Invitational.
Yep.
For me, the first team I'll speak on was Amarillo. They got 2 big wins Friday against Lancaster and then Saturday against Green Hill. The one kid, and we'll speak about him even more, that stood out was obviously Brendan Housen. Just the efficiency that he plays with. I mean, guys, like, for me as a video guy, I'm like, hey, this kid could probably score 40 or 50 if he just shoots more. But there's no shot clock, and that plays right to their advantage. He cuts hard. Anytime he shoots the ball, it's a good shot for him. So he was super efficient. I know me and Sam sat there and watched him play, and he just the right shot. And just you can just tell they played a lot together this summer, and they're a team that it didn't take long to mesh well, and they just got 2 big wins early on to start the season.
Sam talked about when Brendan plays in structure, just how incredible he is.
Yeah, and like any shot he takes, he probably missed 2 or 3 shots per game this weekend, and the ones that he missed were in and out, and it was just a really good performance, which I'll talk about it more when we get to our player segment. Yeah,
I want to talk about Harker Heights. I went and saw them on Friday night, and the gym was electric.
Was it?
It was so fun, and they've got guards all over the place. And I want to hit on C.J. Evans, Antoine Taylor. Antoine caught about 3 bodies, and C.J. was just C.J. He being a pest, getting into the paint, dropping the ball off, and then just relentless on D. They took care of Pflugerville Weiss. And then there's another guy that I want to talk about, but we'll talk about him in a later segment.
All right. Blue, I was jealous of this one because I know this game would have went crazy on a Tech Soups TV game recap, and that was Antonio and San Antonio Cole.
You talk about the perfect matchup for 4 guards. Santiago Ochoa, Xavier Martinez, both from Antonian. On the other side of the ball for San Antonio Cole, Silas Livingston, Trey Blackmore. Trey Blackmore was unbelievable. Best I have seen him play in the many years that I've seen him. He was taking step backs. He was creating space. He was hitting big shots. The things that people had talked about in San Antonio were finally being shown on this in this particular game, which was a quarterfinal game. His teammate Silas Livingston, 8 threes. He's already committed to Incarnate Word, and he's over there handling the ball. Any open space, that's where he's going to be deadly. But then on the other side of the ball, Santiago Ochoa, wow, that guy is relentless going to the basket, fights through contact every single time, and can finish with either hand. And Xavier Martinez, I told him after the game, he's underranked. He is very good passer. He sees the floor for his size and can knock down shots, and then he's going to get in you on defense. It was a crazy game. Went to overtime. 81-80 was the final score. 3 guys, there was all 4 of those players we mentioned had 25 or more points. Incredible game to watch for the first day, and that was the highlight of the weekend.
That was Friday night, right?
That was just Friday night.
And then you turned around and probably used that energy to get up early, or did you drive to Houston right after that?
I had to take a breather.
Okay.
And just stayed.
Yeah, but that's a way to end. Shout out to Antonio and that Alamo City.
Antonio did
for
a
having
really nice job of matching the guys and looking at the second round matchups.
Mass, Leander Rouse.
Yeah, I'll go right into it.
Okay.
And I kind of changed things up on here, but the guy who stood out from Rouse, Nazar Mahmoud. We have him ranked too low. Unbelievable.
And where is he ranked right now? What?
25?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Like,
Tell me he's big time, huh?
he is. He can score the ball any way you want it. And that level of skill with the ball in his hands, there's a lot of guys who can defend, who have the size, the speed, and athleticism to defend. But then you talk about guys who can put the ball in the bucket from anywhere, any way, anytime. And that skill, like that, when you shrink it from that list of like the athletic defender guys, it's like this, and then Nazar Mahmoud and a few other guys, it goes like this.
Yeah.
Just with the skill that he provides. He made shots from 3, pull-up jumpers, floaters, everything. And Glenn, or who'd they play? I forgot. Leander, who'd they play? It was a good game. Yeah.
I wasn't there, baby.
Yeah.
I'll catch you.
But he must have stuck out.
He was stuck out. That's just what I remember. And Nazar was absolutely fantastic. So he's too low. He needs to go up. And, phenomenal performance by him.
And the final team that I'll mention here, obviously we saw a lot of them, but South Grand Prairie played Saturday, and the first thing that I saw was Caden Bennett wasn't playing. I'm not sure the injury or what's going on there, but you knew right away. We've raved about South Grand Prairie just getting it done and finding a way. And I want to mention 3 players that stood out for them. Chandler Burnett hit big threes over and over again, and then that game ended up going into overtime. He hit a big 3 then. Anthony Solomon was the one that kind of brought the energy and brought that leadership that got up 94 feet, hit some big threes, screaming, getting loud, just bring that energy. And then the one guy that probably won't get a lot of love was Ringo Deng. They played against Waco Midway, who we know brings Caden Powell and Cole Reed, and he was able to battle inside with him and made it really tough for, Waco Midway made a comeback, and South Carolina ended up winning that game, but Ringo was able to make a lot of plays and just had enough physicality and length to kind of frustrate those bigs early on. So that's a really big opening weekend win against a well-coached Waco Midway team without your probably leading scorer and your like go-to guy. So shout out to South Carolina Prairie for that win.
It was San Antonio O'Connor.
Okay.
Really good defensively. Yeah. They made Nazar shoot tough ones, but it just didn't matter. So let's move into players. We talked a lot about teams, a lot of good stuff. Blue, a guy that you have mentioned separately to me and Michael, Darius Woodson.
A lot this morning.
A lot
you said it 5 times. Let's hear about it.
Darius Woodson, does that ring a bell? Have I talked about him?
Yeah.
I mean, Darius Goose Creek
Who?
Memorial, lefty, was knocking down threes, was going inside. He had 5 rebounds. He was getting some putbacks, defending. This guy, number 97 in the state, is going up. He's a stock riser. He's one of my favorite guys after week 1 of high school basketball, and I'm just penciling him going, wow. He's going to be that guy that we're going to get phone calls on from the college coaches who call daily. We're going to be throwing his name out because he is a guy that's going to surprise a lot of people.
For me, I'll just go ahead and bring him back up. Brennan House, and I'll go a little more in-depth. Like I said, I wish selfishly that he would go score 40, but he's not going to, and I love it even more about his game. But his efficiency, the way he hits threes, he's just – when he played Lancaster Friday night, they started trying to pressure him up. He got anywhere he wanted on the court. Shot fake, get to the free throw line, was having so much fun. And just his efficiency. And then Saturday morning, I show up. They play at 1 against Green Hill. Villanova's coach, Jay Wright, who, if y'all realize, he played Friday night at UCLA on the West Coast, flew into DFW to watch his new signee, Brennan Housen, play, and he put on another great performance, scoring 24, to the delight of Jay Wright and that whole staff. But he just gets it done so many ways. He's getting more comfortable with the basketball. I think that what helps Amarillo is they all have an identity, and they kind of know, and he kind of knows just when to pick and choose his spots, and he really just stood out, man.
And even though I was not there talking to you and Sam, they have one thing in mind, and that's another state run. And so it's just good to see that they're having fun and that they know the challenges ahead of them, and they're going to just plow through.
And I think, honestly, they have the 3 seniors that have all played together for a long time, and they're not afraid to hold each other accountable. If one of them, makes mistakes, like, they understand the urgency that they're playing with this season, and they're a best of friends, but they understand what the goal is, like you said. And Brennan's not afraid to bark out orders and demand the best out of his teammates, and I think he's earned that right.
They're winners. I'll go right into it. Jalen Crocker-Johnson, San Antonio Warren, 28 points, big second half, and he was scoring in ways that I haven't seen him score consistently. He was knocking down threes. He had a couple one-dribble pull-ups. And what really changed the game, he missed a couple shots early, and then he looked around and said, well, I can score every time in the paint, and I'm going to utilize this mismatch that I've been given. And once he started scoring in the paint, everything else about his game kind of came together. He started scoring at all 3 of the levels, got in a really nice rhythm, and he showed a lot of just versatility. And so, like I said, he can be a mismatch when he can take advantage of the size disadvantages. And then if you're going to put someone a little quicker on him, he'll rise up and shoot over you. So really impressive performance by Jalen Crocker-Johnson.
Yeah, and another guy that I had not seen a ton, Jacoby Cole from Houston Bel Air. He's that next level guy that you're watching right now, going, what tier is he going to wind up in? And you know what? At 6'8" that he's listed at, he can really get downhill on you. You have to guard him past the arc. If you don't, he'll let it fly. He struggled from the outside, but what he did was he took the ball past his opponents, and he was getting to the rim. I mean, finished with a double-double easy with that long length and size and a lot of confidence. I mean, you know what? He looks like every bit of that tier 1 guy. He just needs to kind of just hit a little bit more perimeter shots. If he's going to sit out there and take 7, he's going to have to make some of those.
Right.
So.
For me, we're going to start a freshman that I talked about in our preview to the week, Jeremiah Green from Denton Guyer. I mean, I talked to y'all about this. Denton Guyer can be a really special team if their freshmen can stand up, and they did. Overtime win. Kyron Lindsey was Kyron Lindsey. Actually the mid-range game was working for him, but Jeremiah Green hit big shots, hit a step-back 3 to send the game to overtime. Credit Jordan Lauer, the other freshman, got to the paint to tie it after Byron Nelson went up. But you can just tell, like, Jeremiah Green's carrying himself like he's already a senior, and that helps Kyron Lindsey tremendously, because if you're going to sit there and try to double and go after Kyron Lindsey, Jeremiah Green is willing to step up and take the charge and run the team.
And that's what they were lacking last year.
Yeah.
Was that help that Kyron Lindsey needed.
And while we talk about Jeremiah Green, Jordan Lowry probably guarded Finley Bizjack in that first half. They played Byron Nelson about as good as you can. Took the challenge, bought into the role of doing that, and it really benefited them, and they got a big win in overtime versus a good Byron Nelson team.
I'm going to pivot to my game of the night. Before I get to the winner, I want to talk about the team that lost, Austin Westlake, in particular Donovan Santoro. He did everything he could to help bring Westlake that victory. He scored 28 of the 53 points and 13 in the first quarter, and then in the second half had about 15. I just like the confidence he's playing with, and I'll just give you an example. They were down 3. He got fouled. He goes to the line, misses both free throws. Westlake scrappy. They're going to grab that offensive rebound. Yep. Preston Clark pitches it back out to Santoro. Santoro's maybe a step in front of the volleyball line. Somebody doesn't get a hand up. Santoro lets it fly. Tie game. Which wasn't enough, but it just shows just like his maturity as a scorer and a player. He's very, very, very tough to guard at that size.
And Robert Lucero has told us that they need to win by playing team basketball, but they are going to rely on Donovan Santoro to put the ball in the basket. And, I mean, scoring, over 50% of their points?
Yeah.
That's what they're going to need.
And go ahead and touch on that game, because there's another kid on this list that
I'll just go on.
Okay.
Jordan Mason, he started off slow. And I say slow. He had 12 points in the first 3 quarters. So nothing bad. But what Westlake did is they corralled him. They threw a lot of bodies at him, and I'll get into a glue guy later who kind of shifted that. But when it was winning time in the fourth quarter, Jordan Mason goes for 12 points. He has 8 in the last 3.5 minutes. And when he gets downhill in transition, it's over. Yeah. I mean, he is so good. The game looks so slow to him. He always gets to exactly where he wants to go, lays it in. Jordan and Clark, San Antonio Clark, just kind of willed that game, and they weren't going to let it go. They were down 95% of the game, and they just kept digging, scraping, and clawing, and that kind of just embodies who Jordan Mason is.
And that right there was the last team that San Antonio Clark faced last year, as we know, in the regional finals. Some faces have changed, but some of the main players are still there. So you know what? It was probably a little bit of a gut check time for both teams. And San Antonio Clark, I think I mentioned this before, when you talk to San Antonio as a Region 4 guys, they always circle Clark because the pace that they want to play at. They have some guys like Jordan Mason that can really step up. And so San Antonio Clark really, did they want revenge? They just wanted to win the game, and they pulled it out.
No, absolutely.
Ethan Crowley, I haven't forgot about you. I didn't tweet about you because I wanted to let you celebrate with your teammates. But I'm going to talk about you in a second. You were awesome, so we'll get there.
Trey Clayton was big time this weekend, and, Kimball might have put together two of the biggest wins, one at Cowtown and one at the Phil McNeely Classic, beating Universal Academy and beating Faith Family. Me and Sam Lowe were talking earlier. Trey Clayton's like a star that does all the glue guy stuff. I mean, realistically, in this state, Trey Clayton's probably the best player on 80% of teams across the state. But he plays this role. He's relentless. The tenacity he plays with. And if he's going to step back and hit these three-pointers, forget about it. Already a 6'5" body, what are you going to do? Because you got Arteria Morris and Chauncey Gibson, so you're going to throw your two best defenders there. Okay, you want to try to have a big guard. You want to try to have a big guard, Trey Clayton, he's going by you. He's going to be a nightmare game in and game out.
No one can block him out either.
Yeah, he's going to the glass. Everything that you want out of this prospect, he did for you. And you found out right away, just like last year, if you don't put Kimball away by 50, they're going to find a way to make a run back. And they did that all playoff run last year, and they're showing that they're able to make plays and come back against big-time opponents. And Trey Clayton was one of the main reasons for that.
Yeah, and what I like about him, overall his game, he doesn't play like he's 6'4", 6'5". He plays much bigger.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And he enjoys that role.
Mm-hmm.
I want to touch on Duncanville because I did talk to Sam about him, and it's like they won by 40 and 50, and he wanted to talk about C.J. Ford in particular, who he just said when the guy's hitting shots, and then you got the rest of that gauntlet of a team, it's easy to be like, oh, that's Duncanville and forget about him, but we got to mention, holy cow.
Yeah.
Talk about an impressive weekend. Really looking forward to that Duncanville-Kimball matchup this weekend.
Yeah, I think you and I might.
Yeah,
might
we'll be at that
cool.
one. We'll be at that one.
Hey, I have to say that I wish we had an hour because this right here is controlled chaos right here, and so I'm going to jump into my team of Houston Christian, and I'm going to try to go as quickly as possible here. Houston Christian, they lost to Atascocita, but we joke around last time that we saw Duncanville start 6'8", 6'9", 6'6", 6'7", 6'10", whatever they wanted to throw on the court. Houston Christian started 5'8", 5'8", 5'9". Okay, and those guards are fun to watch between Montana Wheeler, Orlando Horton, and Brody Robinson. Those guys can hit shots. They're fast. They're quick out on the perimeter. They're going to create steals. They are just fun to watch, and you'll get a chance to see them this weekend at Capel and kind of talk a little bit more in depth about them. But they're smaller guards, but they can go.
Yeah, and for me, two players that I want to touch on spotlighted the final game that I covered Saturday night. Mansfield Timberview and Richardson. Donovan O'Day and Cason Wallace. Two pretty household names. Fun matchup. Donovan O'Day, man, he's just a blur. He plays as fast in half court as he does in transition sometimes. Like, if there's a crease for him to get downhill, he's getting there, finishing and ones. Just willed this team for 3 quarters, had the lead on Richardson, and then guess what, guys? When you have a Cason Wallace on your team, guess what? You got a chance. Yeah. And, admittedly so, Rylan Griffin got in some foul trouble, so they had to tinker with the rotation a little bit, and Cason just said, hey, just keep us around. And in the fourth quarter, they end up winning by double digits, but just his ability to do everything. And I asked him after the game, I said, is this mid-range stuff that you're doing? Is this the real thing? He's like, oh, yeah, I've been working on it. I mean, he was surgical. Nobody on Mansfield Timberview could guard him, and you can just kind of see his stature and his body out there. He kind of looks like something different, and he just kind of carried himself that way. And this was just a game for Mansfield Timberview and Richardson. Win or lose, no need to panic. They both are going to be there when it matters down the stretch in playoff runs.
Yeah, Mass, I know you have another guy to get to, but let me jump on this real quick.
Go.
Houston, Washington's Christopher McDermott, 6'7", sophomore. Oh my gosh. I mean, this kid was all over the place. It's great whenever you're out there and you're watching just to kind of get the feel for the game, and you just see the same person making play after play after play, rebounding the basketball, running the middle of the lane, scoring in transition, finishing off the block. I mean, this guy has a lot of great basketball ahead of him. I want to say that he might have scored north of 20, maybe even 30, but double-double. He was eye-catching because he did all the right things for a sophomore, and with other talent on that Washington team, he stood out the most.
I'll be quick here. Evan Chapman of Harker Heights. That's the guy I failed to mention earlier, and I told you I would, but he is your 3-and-D. He's 6'4", can legit shoot it, can get after it on defense. That is a fit into all programs type of body, shot, and mindset. Really good player. I am fully bought into a guy who can put it in the bucket and get after you. So let's move into glue guys. We got to keep this one moving here. Timmons, kick us off.
Cooper Pillion, Amarillo. You know, when everybody's throwing the kitchen sink to try to stop those three big time prospects for Amarillo, he was able to stretch the floor, hit shots and timely shots. You know, they play at a slower pace, but they all cut hard, and they know what they're looking for to get shots off. And he hit timely shots, and I just could tell from seeing him the first game, he's gonna have to hit big shots in this playoff run for Amarillo for them to have a chance at the state championship. And I think he's ready for it, and I think he's excited anytime. Like you can tell, he's confidently shooting it. So that's a big glue guy for that Amarillo program.
I'll jump in here. Ethan Crowley, San Antonio Clark. He came in to the game and changed it with his physicality, his toughness, and he's really brings a lot to that San Antonio Clark group. Very sneaky, athletic. Excited for the addition of him this year.
Good.
Yeah, Jonathan Burrows from Houston Episcopal. He was just Mr. Reliable, knocked down a three, dipped inside to go get rebounds, push the ball up court. Seemed like when there was something that needed to get done for that squad, he was always in the right place at the right time. And probably won't get mentioned a whole lot by anybody, but that was a key factor for me, is that the timeliness of everything that he did on court.
I'll just jump back in here. Ashawn Holmes, San Antonio Harlan. They got a lot of guys to like, but he was kind of their Swiss Army knife this weekend. He defended, got a lot of steals, finished a lot of shots, made a lot of shots. I thought he was very, very impressive. San Antonio Harlan just got after it, man.
No, that's what you were saying off camera. That's good for them.
Yeah.
For me, Mason Raspberry, Byron Nelson, late in that game against Denton Geyer, it's a close game, so it seemed like eternity before that game was going to end. And Finley Bizjack, your go-to guy, fouls out in a single possession game, and that game goes to overtime. Mason Raspberry hitting threes, jumping to passing lanes all game long. Not a very big kid, probably 5'8", 5'9", 140, and that's being polite. But I mean, he's a gamer, and he's going to do everything that team needs. I mean, he's just a gamer. Was there. I mean, it just reminded me of like a defensive back that just always has a knack for being around the ball, and he hit big threes in overtime, and just was honestly a reason that they were able to hang around after Bizjack fouled out.
Byron has a few of those. They find.
Oh, and you have to be able to stick around with Denton Geyer with your best playmaker out. They all had to step up, but Mason Raspberry all game long was really a true gamer.
We had a funny exchange when Byron was down 3, and you said Bizjack fouled out, and I go, "You better guard Kid Pezzo, bucket,
yeah,
bucket."
No, he hit one right away too. Jacob Zenon,
That dude's
straight,
clutch, man.
yeah, he's clutch. So they'll be fine, and I think that helped Byron Nelson seeing your star player, seeing how you respond, and those kids know how to step up.
Yeah, absolutely. So that begs the question: where are we headed this weekend? Timmons, go.
I will be staying local again. I'll put some miles on that car here in a bit, but we're gonna do Coppell and then the RJ Hampton Showcase. I'm excited to see Houston Christian, who you talked about. Westlake will be around. John Paul is one team I'm really excited to see. I want to keep seeing how RJ Jones keeps getting better and better and better.
Absolutely.
So those are some guys in the RJ Hampton Classic. You know, the nightcap's going to be a big one between Duncanville and Kimball.
Blue?
Well, I'm going to start off in Texas Invitational in Pasadena. always tradition. Thursday, Friday night, probably about 9 o'clock. Head south down to San Antonio. If you have any local coffee spots for me to hit up between there, I need them. Get to San Antonio, and it's beautiful. I get to watch 2 full quarterfinal games between Northeast Northside District Tourney and the San Antonio Spurs. 16 teams in one day. I'm fired up about that.
Yeah. I'm similar to you, Blue. I'm going all over the place. Going down to you with you and Sam to Pasadena. Then Friday morning I'll be flying back into Dallas, running over to hang out with you and Coppell. Coppell on Friday, RJ Hampton Classic on Saturday. It's going to be a fast weekend.
I promise. Now y'all are making me look bad. I'm going to get on this road. I'm going to do some incredible things, and I'm going to be just wait. My time's coming, guys.
Yeah. Sam will be, where will he be?
Wherever he wants.
Wherever he wants. Sam will be all over the place. But we're excited. We got a lot.
That's just week 1, man.
That's just week 1. Where are we going tonight? I'm going to Hillcrest, McKinney North.
Birdville Martin at Birdville.
To be determined. I'm still figuring out some things.
All right.
I like that.
Right.
Don't give it away too quickly.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to this edition of the GASOCAST. Come join our community. We're on social media at Texas Hoops GASO, at Texas Hoops TV. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and then subscribe on YouTube. Then we have our content page. We are trying to get all the names that we can out. We love basketball, and we want you to come along and join. Thank you.
Just a click away.
Just a click away.
All you have to do.
Yeah, just jump on. We appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next time.